All right, where do you start when it comes to nutrition for microscopic colitis? It's not talked about enough here on YouTube or on blogs, but we want to create more resources for you on this topic specifically. So today we're going to dive in to what are the biggest symptoms that people come to us wanting some support on: energy and bowel frequency. So we're going to give you a couple of action steps to really help you get started on your nutrition journey, as well as some next step resources for you below. All right, let's dive into it.
Always great to start off with a definition for people who may not be aware of what microscopic colitis is. It is an IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, the lesser known one. And so there is inflammation that does take place. Budesonide, one of the steroids, is a common thing that is recommended for people with IBD, well, microscopic colitis, sorry, to help with their symptoms and with the inflammation. And I see a cat tail. Frank has made an appearance. We have a new guest today. Frank, he's so big.
He's gotten so big. He wants my chair. That's why he came in. He's like, get off my chair.
I love it. But yes, budesonide. Sometimes, well, unfortunately, what I've heard from some people is that it's not always helpful with symptoms. And that's where nutrition can play a big, big role and where we are going to talk more about. So, Ashley, like you said, energy and frequent bowel movements are heavy hitters when it comes to people with microscopic colitis. And there's lots to talk about that we can do to help out with that. Do we want to start with hydration first?
Yeah. And maybe I'll start too with the reason why, one of the reasons why we're trying to create more resources on this topic is there aren't any, but these are the people that we love to help because they're very responsive to nutrition interventions. There's so much opportunity to support them. And in terms of medications, there really aren't as many options right off the bat as compared to like Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. There's very little research in this area, but there are strategies that are helpful. And I feel like microscopic colitis patients kind of get oftentimes just left in the dark a little bit about what they can actually do to help their symptoms in a sustainable way. I've seen a lot of patients that, they're on a lot of Imodium and stuff long term, just trying to survive. And there's nothing wrong with being on Imodium, but there are better strategies out there that can really help you in a more sustainable way. And so we want to help you get connected to those resources that are out there, because we see a lot of microscopic colitis patients in our practice that have really great results. So I wanted to talk about that and create some resources for you on that topic specifically. So yeah, one of the biggest things that people come to us with and often bring to the table is like, hey, I want to go less frequently to the bathroom. It's affecting my sleep. And also, I feel tired all the time. What's going on? Am I just not absorbing my food? And what's interesting about that is it's what actually is going on is oftentimes people are having so many bowel movements that they're dehydrated, they've lost electrolytes, they're in pain and not feeling great. So they're also restricting their diet a little bit more. And so to start people off, we have to start with that foundational stuff. One, making sure we're repleting hydration and getting electrolytes if you're having, diarrhea more than 6 times a day. And then making sure we're getting enough overall in the diet. And that's where working with a dietitian can be very helpful, because we can help you strategize with trigger foods and help fill in the gaps to make sure you're getting your baseline support. If you're in a flare up and you're really struggling, we need to at least make sure you're meeting your baseline needs as we continue to help you with expanding your diet. So that's usually the starting point, is oftentimes hydration and helping replete what's lost, because that's a huge driver in fatigue. And same with just making sure people are getting their baseline nutrition too. And then too, like sleep. So obviously if you're having nighttime bowel movements and that's driving you to not really actually rest, and so then you're not recovering very well, then one of the big things that we will do is help with strategies in the evening time so that you can actually sleep through the night. And that's another big one, because that'll make you tired if you're not getting recovery.
Absolutely. When we work with people with microscopic colitis, there's, along with hydration, being mindful of certain foods that may trigger more urgency is one of our first lines of defense as well. So common gut irritants can be things like spicy foods, higher fat foods, dairy products, caffeine, both in coffee, tea, and in chocolate. Chocolate sometimes can be that for people as well. And stress also is a big one. Oh, what?
And artificial sweeteners too.
Yes, artificial sweeteners, especially ones like sugar alcohols. Some examples of them would be mannitol, maltitol, sorbitol, xylitol. Those are some heavy hitters that can be in certain beverages or protein powders or protein drinks to be mindful of. A lot of these things can draw more water into the colon, promoting more diarrhea. So we always like to take a look at what someone's eating and see if there's any room for adjustments with those common triggers. And then the next little bit that we like to discuss is adding more foods rich in soluble fibers, because soluble fibers can help to soak up that excess water to slow down the bowels and decrease urgency and diarrhea. So soluble fibers, I mean, one that we really like to use is actually a fiber supplement. And it is called PHGG, which stands for partially hydrolyzed guar gum. We like to use the Gut Love Back to Balance Plus. And we also like to use food strategies as well. So things like oatmeal, sweet potatoes, or other potatoes, avocado, hummus, and rice, bananas, applesauce. So we'll slowly add those things into the diet so that that can help with the urgency that people often experience. Am I missing anything, Ashley?
No, that's a pretty good breakdown. And yeah, so and if some of those foods felt like out of reach for you, or you're like, oh, I could never do that, know that there is a little bit of strategy too that often goes into working with a dietitian where, if there's something that you struggle with, we can sort of pinpoint what that thing is. So with food triggers, sometimes it's not always what it seems. So that's one of the biggest things that we see is there can be a number of things driving symptoms with certain foods. It could be how that food is eaten. It could be a component of the food, like fat malabsorption or certain carbohydrate malabsorption, or trouble with gluten or celiac. There's a number of different kind of root things going on. If you feel like some of those foods are out of reach, working with someone can really be helpful for helping you understand your triggers better and really understanding how to move through that, like different strategies so where you're not as limited in your diet. And you mentioned soluble fibers, which is a big thing, and then also PHCG, which I even end up putting together a product specifically for people struggling with diarrhea and urgency. This is a product I manufactured to also include PHCG as well as a probiotic called L-Plantarum 299B. Both ingredients have lots of clinical data over the years in terms of helping people and reducing bloating and abdominal pain as well. So I wanted to put together a product that had both and that's easy to integrate, like just throwing it into a tea or smoothie. And so that is specifically I've designed it for people dealing with those kinds of symptoms. So you can read about it below. We'll link to it. It is third-party tested, and we third-party test at every stage of the process. We also are in a certified NSF certified facility, GMP certified facility. We go above and beyond to make sure every product, it has what it says it does and nothing more.
Amazing. Love it.
Yeah. So we are also going to include a link to the ebook. We've also done several blogs on this topic. If there's anything that we didn't cover and you want to hear more on those, please let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our content so you can check out more videos we have. Anything you do to support and share our YouTube channel is huge for us. It means a ton because this is kind of our labor of love. We love to put together great content specifically for people dealing with IBD like we are. So if you have any other comments on potential material, or you want to share stuff, we greatly appreciate it.
Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.
All right, take care.